Coming up on Lifestyles with Rebecca, Kurt was a college professor who liked being in cafes better than the classroom, so he bought a coffee shop and couldn't be happier. Rental car branch manager, television account executive, Keely decided enough was enough. Ditched the desk, moved to the stable, and now her life is in the saddle. Go to law school, pass the bar, but after all that, realize you don't have the passion for the law. Meet Mark, lawyer turned quilt dealer. All coming up on Lifestyles with Rebecca. Rebecca Smith decided she'd had enough of the corporate world. There had to be more to life. She needed to reinvent herself, a re-lifing as she put it. But what to do? For her, it meant that her lifelong passion for sewing and design might be the answer. After all, for years friends had told her that she should sell the Sporting Life handbags she designed and made in her basement. Maybe she could make a living at it. Joined by lifelong friend and fellow designer Michelle Luciano, who herself was also at a crossroads, Rebecca embraced her re-life as a couture handbag designer, and Rebecca Ray Designs was born.
I think that life is short, and I think that when you get that chance to go around, that you need to make the most of it. And I think that there are so many things that we can be doing that have multi-purposes. I mean, after all, we're all taught to multitask. Well, a philanthropic business is no different. It just means that we're a little more cognizant of the impact and the footprint that we're leaving behind us, and we're trying to help others as we're doing something that we love to do.
Rebecca knew that there were probably a lot of folks like her, people who either by choice or in these tough economic times by necessity are re-lifing themselves. Stories that could help, could inspire, could make you feel good. The stories of Lifestyles with Rebecca. Yellow Springs, Ohio is one of those idyllic Midwestern towns that seems like a throwback to a simpler time. But Yellow Springs is a place with a colorful and turbulent past. Home to Antioch College, bastion of student activism and liberalism in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, Yellow Springs still has the feel of the 60s, independent, laid back, and mellow. The Underdog Cafe is part of that tradition. Combination coffee shop, cafe, and wine store, it's become a popular gathering place for Yellow Spring residents. Kurt Miyazaki was a professor in nearby Wittenberg University, but when Rebecca and Michelle met Kurt, he was a long way from the classroom.
Well, when I was in graduate school, I spent most of my time in cafes. That's where I read and wrote and pretty much did as much as I could. So I've always, kind of had this kind of secret passion to be in cafes all day and do nothing. And my wife is also in academia, and we had this idea that when one of us got tenure, we would try to open a cafe. And as it turned out, we decided to have a child, and we were both older, we were both 39, so I just felt we weren't spending enough time with him. I used to work here when I was writing my dissertation, and my friend owned this place, and I knew she was getting ready to retire, and I told her, if you want to sell the place, I'm interested. Yeah, now I can sit in the cafe all day, but I have to kind of pour coffee through. Yeah.
Kurt found his dream in a warm and cozy cafe, but for Keely, it was a bit different. She found a stable. Keely Gogol always loved horses, but she had to make a living, a passion to be indulged in her spare time. But there came a time when her passion became her business, and her husband, her business partner.
So Keely, riding was your hobby. It wasn't your intended career path. How did all this happen for you?
Well, it happened in bits and pieces. I rode as much as I could as a kid. I rode off and on through high school. I rode for my college equestrian team at Miami University all through college. It's a very labor-intensive job. I mean, it's not unusual to work a 60 or 70 or 80-hour work week. And so, when you're faced with that and you're so tired and there's so much going on, then suddenly sitting behind a desk for 40 hours a week seems like a vacation.
Right.
My next kind of step in my career path was to work for Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and I became a branch manager at Enterprise. And that is one of the key elements really to the success of the business that I run now, because in doing that for Enterprise, I was able to learn all sorts of things about actually running a business. And then from there, I was actually hired by someone who I met through Enterprise that was one of the owners of Cinecraft Productions, which is a video production company on the west side of Cleveland. And I was an account executive for them and found myself spending a lot of time looking out the window wondering what was going on at the barn and at the horse shows, and really, you know, kind of came to terms with the fact this is my passion and this was my first love, and I was just bound and determined to find a way to do it. It is a lifestyle for sure, and to be able to do it together for Jeff and I is the only reason that it works. You know, we have talents that complement each other. He is just an unbelievable rider and a trainer and a teacher, and his business skills are nothing compared to that, and vice versa. My business skills are my contribution to the business, and my riding skills are just side. And so that makes it really a functional, viable thing. And as far as our own life together, because of the intensity of the job and because it is so time, you know, 60, 70, 80 hours all the time, calls in the middle of the night, traveling, you could never do it if you weren't doing it together.
Keely was able to return to her first love. Mark French took a different path. He expected to spend his life in the courtroom, but it didn't quite work out. It's a long way from the courthouse to a Frank Lloyd Wright-inspired house on a ridge in southwest Ohio, but for Mark French, it's home. One that he couldn't have imagined when he was toiling away in law school and preparing to take the bar exam. But a childhood fascination with yard sales opened a door beyond the law.
Even as a kid, you know, I loved yard sales. I used to buy stuff and mark it up 25 cents and sell it to my friends. Yeah, it is the hunt.
I mean, there is a definite.
So I found somebody in law school that I could do this, you know, this hunt with. He was an antique quilt dealer, and I started going with him to markets, and basically I was his apprentice. And I didn't mean to be. It was just something to do to get away and get out of the books.
Right.
And I found out I was good at it. I picked it up pretty fast on what to look for and how to date things. And you know, he introduced me to it. I was doing it on the side. I graduated from law school, took the bar exam, passed, but took a year off. I'd gone straight through undergrad. I was so done with academia, with just being a student. I just wanted to do something completely different, and I stopped looking for a job. I thought, this is fun. I'm going to do this for a while. You know, knowing that I may be, you know, killing my law career. I mean, you're only out for so long before your degree becomes a little bit dated. And, but I was just having fun, you know. In law school, it's not all that fun. No. So I just kept doing it. I mean, that's been 11 years ago.
Mark's house is spectacular in its beauty and simplicity. Sitting on a ridge overlooking a nature preserve, it offers a peek into the kind of lifestyle many folks who re-life themselves are looking for. Peaceful, fulfilling, and a better way to live. From a basement office selling quilts, to a cafe, to a stable, people re-life themselves in many different ways. Lifestyles with Rebecca will introduce you to folks like these all over America. We invite you to travel with us on Lifestyles with Rebecca.